Now on to Warrior. Warrior by Revan. This is the third book in the 4-book series. If you have not read the first 2 books, Beggar and Thief, you would be well advised to do so. Both linked down below in the description. Soybud Errol did not know much of his past, nor did he care to. As a child, he had lived in Erelgard, but the kingdom was very poor and taxes were as a result very high. He was too young to manage his abundant inheritance, but his servants, fearing that their master would be ruined, moved him to Jelenheim. No one knew why that location was picked. Some old maid, long dead now, had thought it was a good place to raise a child. No one else had a better idea. There may have been children with a more pampered, more spoiled existence than young Soybud, but this is doubtful. As he grew, he understood that he was rich, but he had nothing else. No family, no social position, no security at all. Loyalty, found out to be more than one occasion, cannot truly be bought. Knowing that he had but one asset, a vast fortune, he was determined to protect it and, if possible, increase it. Some otherwise perfectly nice people are greedy, but Soybud was that rare accident of nature or breeding who was no other interest but acquiring and hoarding gold. He was willing to do anything to increase his fortune. Most recently, he had begun secretly hiring mercenaries to attack desirable properties, and then buying them when no one wanted to live there anymore. The attacks would then, of course, cease, and Soybud would have profitable land which he had purchased for a song. It had began small with a few farms, but recently had begun a more ambitious campaign. In north-central Skyrim, there is an area called the Alto, which is a unique geographical interest. It is a dormant volcanic valley surrounded on all sides by glaciers. So the earth is hot from the volcano, but the consistent water drizzle and air is frigid. A grape called Jazbay grows there comfortably, and everywhere else in Tamriel it withers and dies. The strange vineyard is privately owned, and the wine produced from it thus rare and extremely expensive. It is said that the emperor needs the permission of the imperial council to have a glass of it once a year. In order to harass the owner of the Alto into selling his land cheap, Soybud had to hire more than a few mercenaries. He had to hire the finest private army in Skyrim. Soybud did not like spending money, but he had to agree to pay the general of the army, a woman called Lassifitra, a gem of the size of an apple. He had not given it to her yet. The payment was to be delivered on the success of the mission. But he had trouble sleeping, knowing that he was going to give up such a prize. He always slept during the day so he could watch his storehouse by night, where he knew the thieves were about. That brings us up to this moment when, after a fitful sleep, Soybud woke up at the noon and surprised a thief in his bedroom. The thief was Eslav. Eslav had been contemplating a leap from the window 100 feet down into the branches of a tree beyond the walls of the fortified palace, and a tumble into a stack of hay. Anyone who has ever attempted such a feat will testify that it takes some concentration and nerve to do such a thing. When he saw that the rich man sleeping in the room had awakened, both left him, and Eslav slipped behind a tall ornamental shield on display to wait for Soybud to go back to sleep. Soybud did not go back to sleep. He had heard nothing, but could feel someone in the room with him. He stood up and began pacing the room. Soybud paced and gradually decided that he was imagining things. No one was there. His fortune was safe and secure. He was returning to his bed when he heard a clunk. Turning around, he saw the gem, the one he had to give Lassifitra, on the floor by the Atmoran cavalry shield. A hand reached out from behind the shield and grabbed it. "Thief!" Soybud cried out, grabbing a jeweled Akavari katana from the wall and lunging at the shield. The fight between Eslav and Soybud would not go down in the annals of great duels. Soybud did not know how to use a sword, and Eslav was no expert at blocking with a shield. It was clumsy, it was awkward. Soybud was furious, but was psychologically incapable of using the sword in any way that could damage its fine filigree, reducing its market value. Eslav kept moving, dragging the shield with him, trying to keep it between him and the blade, which is, after all, the most essential part of any block. Sobod screamed in frustration as he struck the shield, bumping its way across the room. He even tried negotiating with the thief, explaining that the gem was promised to a great warrior named Lesafitra, and if he had to give it back, Sobod would happily give him something else in return. Eslav was no genius, but he did not believe that. By the time Sobod's guards came to the room in response to their master's call, he had succeeded in backing the shield into a window. They fell on the shield, having considerably more expertise with their swords than Sobod did, and they discovered that there was no one behind it. Eslav had leapt out the window and escaped. As he ran heavily through the streets of Jalenheim, making jingling noises from the gold coins in his pocket, and feeling the huge gem chafe where he had hidden it, Eslav did not know where he should go next. He knew only that he could never go back to that town, and he must avoid this warrior called Lasafitra, who had claims on the jewel. Eslav Errol's story is continued in the book King. Alrighty, I will see you in the next one.